Donald Trump says they are poisoning the blood of America. Donald Trump says they are dangerous criminals. But all they were trying to do is make their families' lives better and make our lives better in ways that we would never notice. When we're driving over smooth roads, how many of us think to thank the people who filled the potholes on those roads? How many of us wonder, who does that work? Who does that work in the middle of the night on a cold bridge in Baltimore? Now we know. 35-year-old Alejandro Hernandez Fuentes and 26-year-old Dorlean Raniel Castillo Cabrera were found dead under 25 feet of water in the red pickup truck they presumably jumped into a bit too late to try to escape the collapse of the Francis Scott Key Bridge at 1:28 a.m. last Tuesday morning. 38-year-old Maynor Suazo, who has not been found. 35-year-old Jose Lopez has not been found. 49-year-old Miguel Luna has not been found. Another man whose name has not been publicly released has not been found. There were two lucky ones. Julio Cervantes was rescued, and another worker whose name has not been released was also rescued. Philadelphia Inquirer columnist Will Bunch wrote, quote, Maynor Suazo and 7 men with stories very much like his, migrants from the neighboring countries of Guatemala, El Salvador, and Mexico, were filling potholes on the region's major span on a raw March night. They were doing a backbreaking job at a wretched hour, one many other Americans simply can't or won't do, all so their neighbors could drive safely to their warm, comfortable office cubicles in the dawn's early light. Will Bunch saw something in that tragedy that Donald Trump and other liars about immigrants will never see. Quote, when the Dali cargo ship demolished that bridge support on Tuesday, it also obliterated all the ridiculous lies and myths our demagogues have been spreading about immigration. There were no sex traffickers aboard the Key Bridge that night. Nobody was dealing fentanyl. They were not animals, but fathers and husbands, like Suazo and Luna, whose wife occasionally showed up in her food truck to bring the men tacos and pupusas. They were filling potholes so their children could have an even better life. These 6 workers who perished were not poisoning the blood of our country, they were replenishing it. This is a moment of clarity when we need to reject the national disease of xenophobia and restore our faith in the United States as a beacon for the best people, like Suazo. They may have been born all over the continent, but when these men plunged into our waters on Tuesday, they died as Americans. Joining our discussion now is Will Bunch, national opinion columnist for the Philadelphia Inquirer. Will, thank you very much for joining us tonight, and thank you for the wisdom with which you wrote about this and what you saw in it. Tell us about these men who are out there doing this work that others don't want to do, just trying to make life better for their families and make our rides to work a little smoother.
Yeah, absolutely. And Lawrence, thanks so much for those kind words, and thanks for having this conversation, because it's kind of surprised me, frankly, that this aspect of the story hasn't gotten more attention, because I feel like in this tragedy, we also got a glimpse of clarity into what the true nature of immigration in the United States is all about. In the column, I focused a lot on one of these men in particular, partly because some excellent reporting had been done on him by the Associated Press and others. This was Maynor Suazo, who came here at age 20 from a small, very impoverished rural village in the mountains of Honduras. And this guy just never stopped working. You know, he supported a wife and 2 children, and yet still he managed to send about $600, $800 a month home. He was able to support relatives back in Honduras. He was kind of a patriarch for some relatives who were able to make it up to the Baltimore area. And, you know, he told his family, you know, my philosophy is just I go where the work is. He would get home from this overnight construction crew that he worked on at 5 a.m. He'd sleep for a few hours, and then he would go out at noon and do landscaping or other odd jobs. And that's what he did, you know. And this is really the vast majority of the 10 or 12, you know, million recent immigrants who've come to this country. They've come here to work. They've come here for opportunity. You know, they've come here to support their families. You know, a couple channels over from here, all they want to talk about is the isolated cases of criminals. And yet, you know, sure, in a population that big, you're going to have a couple of criminals. But you know, like I said in the piece, they're not poisoning the blood of this country. They're replenishing it, just like the Irish who, you know, the sandhogs who built the water tunnels under New York, just like the Italian Americans who built the Brooklyn Bridge, or the Ben Franklin Bridge in Philadelphia. This is just a tradition of how America works. It's how our infrastructure gets done.
Hey everyone, MSNBC has a new and improved app. You'll get real-time alerts and analysis, live blogs, in-depth essays, video highlights, and the best 2024 election coverage. Download the new MSNBC app. Here's how to do it. You tap on the App Store on your phone. You hit search on the bottom right corner. You type in MSNBC. You click on the MSNBC app. You click on Get or the cloud icon and enjoy it.